All right. I think we've got quite a lot of good news to talk about, and look forward to sharing that with you and then taking questions from the audience. Yeah, I'm just really proud of the Tesla team for accomplishing so much against incredible headwinds. And I'd just like to express a note of appreciation for all of our customers who bought our cars. Thank you for buying our product. We're doing everything we can to make it as good as possible, as fast as possible. I think this is going to sound maybe a little cheesy, but at Tesla we build our cars with love. Like, we really care. I think at a lot of other companies, they're built by like the marketing department and the finance department, and there's no soul, you know. So like, we're not perfect, but we pour our heart and soul into the product. We really care. So. And the dedication of the Tesla team has been incredible. And people they've really been working incredibly hard to make the car. It's very difficult to become a mass manufacturing car company. No one has succeeded in doing this in a very long time in the United States, and even the ones that have, only Ford's the only one that hasn't gone bankrupt. So it's super difficult. So, in fact, yeah, in the history of the American auto industry, it's always worth bearing in mind that only two have not gone bankrupt, and that's Ford and Tesla. So it's insanely hard just staying alive. So I just want to be clear, it's really difficult. We've had people at Tesla who've sort of worked like 60 days straight, and we had like basically forced them to go home. Like, you got to go home, man. You're gonna keel over. And then you snuck back in to work. You're like, damn it, we said go home. But the net result is, despite a lot of difficulties, all parts of the Model 3 production system have demonstrated a 500 car per day capability, or a 3,500 car per week capability. So, and then we just did a big set of upgrades, and we're spooling out the production lines again. And I think it's quite likely that we will achieve a 5,000 car week by the end of this month. It's like, whew, this is like, I'll tell you, the most excruciating, hellish several months I've maybe ever had, and a lot of other people at Tesla. But I think we're getting there. We're doing well on market share. The blue line is the Tesla Model 3. We just became, in May, the best-selling mid-size premium sedan in the United States of any kind. So that's of any kind. So not just so it's beating all internal combustion engine cars, not just battery or hybrid or anything like that. And that's despite the fact that we still offer only one version of the car. All-wheel drive is coming out next month, and then we'll have the lower cost, the shorter range battery, the lower cost car at around the end of this year. Is when we're expecting to do it. So we've also made huge progress in the reliability of the car. So in the beginning it was a bit bumpy, and now as deliveries have risen, the quality and reliability of the car has improved dramatically. So it's improved by a factor of maybe 4 or 5 since start of production, and we're working on making that even better. Employee safety is a big deal for us. It's always tougher to achieve safety when you're building a new manufacturing line. So if you've got a manufacturing line that's in steady state, then you've got an opportunity to iron out the processes and make it a lot easier to build the car. As you're figuring things out, it takes a while to get there. So thus far in 2018, our average our injuries per person are 6% below the industry average, which is great because last year we were a little bit above, and now we're a little bit below, and that trend is continuing downward. So I think we've got a shot at being maybe half the injuries per person of the auto industry, and you know that's the goal we're striving for, is to be half the injuries per person. When you're building cars and you've got a huge number of people, it's impossible to be zero. We wish it could be zero, but we think being twice as good as the average in the auto industry is a very achievable number, and that's what we're working hard to achieve. It's worth noting that when the injuries, the vast majority of the injuries are repetitive stress injuries, so like back strain or wrist strain, by far the most common thing. So, and the way to address that is with better tooling and fixtures, and rotating people through different roles, so they're not always doing the same action. And it's also boring to do the same action over and over again. So, we're making good progress on that, and it's also worth noting even our current injury rate is half that of what it was when Toyota and GM were operating the plant. So that is often lost in a lot of the media articles. So if we achieve our goal, we'll be a quarter of the injuries of when it was NUMMI. So this is what I really want to emphasize, this is a super important thing to me, because we obviously owe a great debt to the people who are building the car. I really care about this issue. So. And supercharger expansion is going really well. We're almost over 10,000 superchargers worldwide. Our goal is that you'll be able to go almost anywhere on Earth using the Tesla supercharger system. We're very excited about the next generation supercharger that is, it's mostly finished in design and will go into production hopefully around the end of this year. So supercharger generation 3 will be quite a dramatic improvement. But we want to save that announcement for when it deploys, which is hopefully later this year. And then once we have that system in place, then we're going to accelerate the supercharger expansion even more. So we've managed to do now 1 gigawatt hour of energy storage deployment worldwide. This is all the way through from the reign of Ramses II of Egypt through today, which I think is a very impressive period of time. And in less than a year from now, we will do another gigawatt. So it's a pretty massive, yeah. So the rate of stationary storage deployment is going to grow exponentially. I mean, it's really, I think for many years to come, each incremental year will be about as much as all of the preceding years, which is a crazy growth rate. It's also a sort of a production limited thing. We would actually be able to do more if we could produce more. And we are producing a lot of batteries. So, in fact, next quarter at the Gigafactory, we expect to make more battery capacity than all other EVs combined worldwide, including China. So, I mean, this is a really crazy amount of batteries. This one factory will make more than all the other factories on Earth. I think really deserving the gigafactory sort of title. It's really, really nutty. We want to try to have like maybe when things get calmed down a bit, like have more tours available for Giga, because it's like epic. It's like, yeah, it's like at least 2 hours to walk through all of the parts of Giga at this point. Just to walk through everything takes 2 hours. Like if you don't pause a lot, it's like good exercise. So that's, yeah, pretty wild. We have our first, we actually have a bunch of non-Tesla employee solar roof customers. And the response has been very positive. That whole roof is solar, and it just looks normal. In fact, it looks better than the roof that was there. So I have it on a house that I bought, the little house across the road that used to be owned by Gene Wilder. It's sort of like a Willy Wonka house, and I was like trying to figure out how to have that go solar without kind of ruining the Gene Wilder aesthetic, which is I really like actually. So, but I was able to put these on Gene Wilder's old house, and it still looks like it still has the same character, which is great. We're spending a lot of time just validating the solar roof, because they need to last at least 30 years, ideally longer, and there's only so much accelerated life testing that you can do on a roof. So before we can deploy it to a large number of houses, we need to make sure that all elements of the roof are going to last for at least 3 decades, but ideally sort of half a century or more. But this is going to be a very big product. And it's also going to grow exponentially. It's, yeah. And I think you kind of want to have a thing where if you look around the neighborhood, adding solar actually made the improved the aesthetics and feel of a neighborhood. I think that's a really big deal. We're not far from Q3, and my CFO and general counsel like, yeah, you have to watch what words you use in these situations. But I think it's really looking like we are going to have positive GAAP net income next quarter, and as well as positive cash flow in Q3 and Q4. And we, as I've said before, do not expect to need to raise any incremental debt or equity. We've got some exciting products in the works. The Model Y is really going to be something super special. We're aiming to unveil the Model Y approximately March next year, and then go into production about maybe around 2 years from now. Maybe a little less than 2 years, but basically first half of 2020 for production of Model Y. Something similar for Semi and Roadster. So these products are shaping up. I think Semi and Roadster are actually going to be even better than what was unveiled. We've figured out ways to improve the range and overall functionality of the Semi. In particular, the Roadster, what I unveiled with the Roadster was the base model performance. It's going to have a SpaceX option package. It's crazy. And I think that it's important for us to show with the Roadster that an electric vehicle can outperform a gasoline car in every way. So that, because gasoline cars still have sort of a halo effect, And I think if we can show an electric car can outperform a gasoline car in every way, then we sort of get rid of that halo effect of gasoline cars. And I think that's quite a powerful thing perceptually for the general public. So these are just some questions that we got on Twitter. I guess we had some really insightful questions on Twitter, as well as some strange ones. Yeah, so one of the first questions is, for Model 3 production line, as I said before, we're really going to focus on manufacturing technology for Tesla, and we've made a lot of mistakes with Model 3 production, but we recognize those mistakes, and we're confident we know how to address them. In fact, we are addressing them, and long term, I think the biggest competitive strength of Tesla is going to be manufacturing. This is sort of counterintuitive, but it is going to be quite dramatic, I think. The approach to automation that we've taken, I think in some cases has worked, in some cases has not. But it's clear that there are some elements of production which are really well suited to people doing it, and some parts of production that are really well suited to robotics. And one of the biggest mistakes we made was trying to automate things that are super easy for a person to do, but super hard for a robot to do. And when you see it, it looks super dumb. You're like, wow, why do we do that? So it sort of makes sense to start off with an initial production line which has a relative bias towards people, and then you automate the parts of the production system that are the most painful and difficult for people to do. So particularly ones that result in repetitive stress injuries, or mechanically difficult. That's really a much better approach, and that's what we're going to do for Dreadnought Factories 1 and 2. It's a much more sensible way to do things. Let's see. Well, let me actually have some of the Tesla executive team come up. Guys, you want to come up and hang out? So JB, do you want to talk about the battery cost stuff?
Sure. So, it's difficult for us to talk about specific cost numbers. That's always a difficult topic, but we're still very confident that we have the best price and performance of anything out there in the world. If there's something better, I don't know about it, and we've looked as hard as we possibly can. And we try and talk to every single battery startup, every lab, every large manufacturer. We get quotes from them. We test cells from them. So if there's something better, we're all ears. We'd love to find it, but we haven't found it yet. So generally, we're still pretty confident about that same direction.
Yeah, I mean, we think at the cell level, probably we can do better than $100 per kilowatt hour, maybe later this year, depending upon on commodity prices. If commodity prices are roughly where they are today, then we'll probably do better than $100 kilowatt hour at the cell level. And then with further improvements to the cell chemistry and the production process, and more vertical integration on the cell side, for example, integrating the production of cathode and anode materials at the Gigafactory, and then an improved design of the module and pack, we think long term we can get below $100 kilowatt hour at the pack level, which is really the key figure of merit for a car. But long term meaning definitely less than 2 years. That's Tesla long term. Anything? I mean, yeah. Yeah, we think we've come up with some pretty cool breakthroughs on this front, on the energy density and cost of the battery pack, and yeah, I think it's going to be pretty great as far as I can see. Yeah. So, when will the Gigafactory be completely built? I think we'll keep building on the Gigafactory for at least 4 or 5 years. It will be by far the biggest building in the world. It's not that far from being the biggest building in the world already, and based on the plans that we know, it might be twice as big as the next building in the world. Hence the interesting tour. So it's about a third done right now, yeah, so it's really enormous, and I think it's going quite well. There will be more gigafactories in the future. We're close to announcing a combined vehicle and battery factory. So future gigafactories will include vehicle and battery pack and powertrain as a single integrated unit. And we're close to announcing something in China that, I don't know, Robin, do you want to talk about that? But I mean, we don't want to make an announcement. Exactly. Maybe just talk about like preamble or something. I don't know. So Robin is head of worldwide sales for Tesla.
Thanks, Elon. I didn't expect to talk about this. So we're incredibly excited to build first Tesla Gigafactory outside of the U.S. In China. Specifically, it's going to be in Shanghai. And we have been holding discussions with the government, various governments in China. Really great discussions, great partners. We really look forward to working with them in the years to come. This is going to be, the next generation of Tesla factory. We're super excited. The stuff that we're going to be put in there and the cars that we're going to be building in that factory is going to be incredible. So we going to announce something really, all the details really soon. So I won't tell more, but this is enough.
All right. Thank you. Particularly as we try to make cars more and more affordable, it's going to be important to localize production to at least the continent level. And so having a gigafactory and vehicle factory in North America, one in China, and then one in Europe will be, that's sort of those are the obvious 3 places for vehicle and battery gigafactories. So probably, if things go according to plan, we'll probably be announcing details of the China Gigafactory as soon as next month, and then Europe Gigafactory maybe end of this year, kind of depending on how we need to figure out where to put it exactly. So, but probably towards the end of this year for the Europe Gigafactory, and ultimately we expect probably there's 10 or 12 worldwide. So. Just some questions on the Tesla Semi. We are going to do another revision of the Tesla Semi design because we've learned a lot, and we think we can actually make it even better than what was unveiled, and really have a range that is way beyond what people think, or most people in the industry think is possible. And we want to. It's definitely going to be a Semi that works in Europe and in North America and China and the rest of the world. You already kind of answered that. Yeah, one major factory in the works and then another one in the works later this year. Yeah, do you want to talk about cells?
Yeah, we've talked about this a few times, but Tesla will absolutely recycle, and we do recycle all of our spent cells, modules, and battery packs. So, the discussion about, this waste is sort of ending up in landfills is not correct. We would not do that. These are valuable materials. In addition to, it's just the right thing to do. So we have current partner companies on every major continent where we have cars operating that we work with to do this today. And in addition, we're developing internally more processes. We're doing R&D on how we can improve this recycling process to get more of the active materials back. And ultimately, what we want is a closed loop right at the gigafactories that reuses the same recycled materials. This isn't impossible. We see a pathway to do it, but that's where we're headed with this. And today, we're on the way to do that. It's definitely something that will be a huge benefit in the long term to cost, as we're able to reprocess more materials instead of actually having to mine new materials.
In terms of repairability of Model 3, including insurance costs, we're working with insurance companies and on some internal activities, but we're really confident of getting the cost of insurance for Model 3 to be at least 20 to 30% lower than, say, a BMW 3 Series or equivalent mid-size sedans. So the safety is definitely better, and then we're working on the repair costs. We've made a lot of progress on that front. But the bottom line is that the insurance cost, or total cost of ownership of the Model 3 should be significantly better than any other mid-priced premium sedan. So, yes, we will definitely offer a $35,000 version of the Model 3. I think probably at the end of this year is when we should be able to make the smaller battery pack, and then get into kind of volume production of the 35K version in Q1 next year. So that's definitely, we will definitely honor that obligation, and we would do so right now if it was physically possible. Let's see, we're going to, hopefully next month, offer a free trial for people to try out Autopilot and see how well it works. We're also making rapid progress on Autopilot technology. So there's a new version of Autopilot that's rolling out, I think, this week, which I think is quite a significant improvement. And I think what you'll see is that the reliability and capability of Autopilot will increase exponentially over the next 6 to 12 months. It's really, the improvements are very, very rapid. The length of time to wait for a Model 3, if you're ordering one now, will vary quite a bit depending upon what part of the world you're in and what configuration. So if for the existing configuration, if you were to order now in the US, you probably would be waiting, I'm guessing, about 3 or 4 months. On the other hand, if you want the right-hand drive version, you're probably waiting for over a year, because we need to build the right-hand drive version and ship it to other countries and homologate the car for other countries. So the wait is anywhere from 3 to 15 months, approximately. But for current configuration, ordered now, it's maybe about 3 or 4 months. This is actually quite a complicated answer. There are many lines to the Model 3. In some places there are several lines. In some places there's just one line, and it kind of depends on what the capacity of that line is. So for general assembly, which is like putting the parts together at the end, we currently have 2 lines and are constructing a third. The third line is, I think, dramatically better than lines 1 and 2. We started construction on that third line about 2 weeks ago, and we're already putting the first car through that line. So it's really crazy fast. And that's part of what gives me confidence about the 5K per week for Model 3. Currently the biggest constraint on output is general assembly. And I think we can probably get to 5,000 a week with the current 2 General Assembly lines, but with the third one, I'm highly confident that we can exceed 5,000 units per week. Oh, and then Model 3 test drives, we should be able to offer Model 3 test drives starting the end of this month. And I think we should have them in almost all stores in North America by the end of next month. We're rapidly expanding service centers. I think by the end of next, kind of year over year, we'll probably see a doubling of service center capacity for Tesla. And we're making major progress on the body shop front. We're also, it was quite a big deal, we're creating Tesla body shop repair locations. And we should have, by the end of this month, at least the top 10 metro areas in the US being able to be serviced by a Tesla body shop. This will be a dramatic improvement in the cost and time of body repair. In fact, we think we might be able to do, for a lot of them, like same-day body repair, which is, it's definitely possible. So I think we want to aim for at least some number of body repairs to be same day. Whereas if we go to third parties, best case, it's about a week. In some cases, it's several weeks. So this is pretty exciting, actually. And we're basically just taking our biggest service centers, adding in an annex for body repair, and then pre-stocking the parts, so you don't have to wait for parts to come from the factory. Not yet. But yeah, March next year, I think we'll have something very exciting to show.